pet lovers, welcome back. I am Liana with Wet Noses Pet Sitting. Thanks for watching this video. Today we are going to talk about the most commonly asked questions about pet insurance. Way back when, I don't know, a year or two ago, I did a video on pet insurance and answered some basic questions about having pet insurance and what it is involved. And that is one of our most viewed as well as our most questioned video out there. So I actually made a list of the common questions that we get, and I'm going to answer them here to hopefully clear up some of those kind of basic things for people. If you want to watch the original video, there is a link in the notes, so go ahead and do that, and you can kind of check out the basics of it because I'm not going to cover everything all over again. So I have a list here. Sorry, I'm looking down, but I got a list. Does pet insurance cover pre-existing conditions? No. When you set up with pet insurance, what they actually do is they have you submit your veterinary records, and you will need some sort of basically a clearance of health, and they will see what your pet has had in the past. If they don't do it when you sign up, they're going to do it when your pet has their first incident. So say like, let me use an example. Say like your dog has a heart condition and you set them up for pet insurance. When they go to when you get your first treatment for that heart condition, they're going to pull all of your previous veterinary records and see that your pet previously had treatment. Now, if your pet previously had a heart condition, but it wasn't diagnosed, then of course there is no pre-existing condition because you didn't know about it. So that's just something to be aware of. Is there a wait period for it to kick in? This is really common with human health insurance, and it is really common with pet health insurance as well. Most of the time, pet insurance, depending on the policy, takes 30 or 60 days before things are covered, and sometimes it is actually staggered. So sometimes some things are covered right away, some things are covered after 30 days, some things are covered after 60 days. It depends upon the policy though. And there are a couple companies that offer gap coverage, which basically means that they'll cover from the day that you get the pet to the day that your regular policy kicks in. So you can talk to your veterinarian or do some research on that. I'm not going to list them because companies are changing policies all the time, and I don't want to list something that's not going to be relevant in 6 months. So do some research, take a look. Sometimes you actually get these when you go in for an exam, like your first exam with your veterinarian, or if you go in, or if you adopt an animal, sometimes in their adoption packets they'll include that, and I would recommend utilizing that if you do get your hands on one of those, one of the gap policies. What is the best company? I cannot answer that for you. I get that question all the time. Everybody's policy is different. What people find to be important in their policy is different, and that's why there's so many different companies. If there's one best company, then everybody just go with them. So, some companies do better coverage for, say, something like cancer. So if you have a breed of dog that is prone to cancer, you would want to have a policy that was great with cancer. Maybe some dogs have hip dysplasia, and some policies are better for that. So if you have a breed that's prone to hip dysplasia, maybe go with that company. Maybe you're just looking for just like strong emergency care, unexpected situations, but not necessarily big health coverage. That's a totally different policy as well. So I can't tell you what your best company is or your best policy because they're all different and they're all changing over the years. So you just got to do your research and contact the different policies and do a side-by-side comparison and see what you like best. Do they cover 100% of the cost of your veterinary insurance or veterinary expenses? And the answer is no. There might be policies out there that do cover 100%, but the average is 90% after a small deductible. Most of the deductibles are somewhere in the realm of like $100. It's not the like $10,000 deductible that you see on human insurance policies. So it tends to be a little bit less than that. But there usually is some sort of deductible, and then there's going to be a percentage cost after that for most policies. Again, every policy is different, and a lot of them do have a sliding scale where you can have a policy that covers a little bit less of a percentage, but the cost is less. So that again depends upon what you're interested in getting out of a policy. Do they cover preventative care? Now this is a tricky one, and I'm going to say that generally no. There used to actually be some health insurance for pets right when they started out that had some preventative care coverage, but generally they do not these days. Most of those policies have gone away, I think, because they found them to be a little bit cost prohibitive. You can find some that cover some dental care work, which can be considered preventative, so it kind of depends on how you view that. But for the most part, most policies are not going to cover things like annual exams, vaccinations, things along those lines. That it has to be something special and unique. So just normal care is not going to be covered under your policy in most cases. Do costs increase over time? Yes. Your policy is going to increase in cost every year unless you get a policy that specifically says it will not increase in cost. And to my knowledge, there is not one of those in existence right at this moment. So generally you see an increase, I believe on my pets, I see an increase somewhere around the realm of 5% every year as they get older. And that goes for all of my pets that I have coverage. I currently have coverage as of the moment of the filming of this video. I have coverage for 1 dog and 3 cats. So, and they all have policies that increase annually. They send me a notice saying it's going to go up, 5% to such and such amount every year. Last question is, how do the veterinary bills get paid? Because pet insurance actually functions very differently than human insurance. So in pet insurance, what you're going to do is you are going to pay whatever bill you want, or whatever bill you incur, and directly to your veterinarian, and you're going to get your invoice, and then you're going to submit that online to your insurance company. This is actually, I believe, to be a good thing. It is nice if our veterinarians would bill insurance and whatnot for us, but part of the reason that veterinarians don't cost as much as human healthcare coverage is because they don't need a person specifically handling insurance. So you get to submit it and do with it what you will and get to talk to the insurance company. And the veterinarian doesn't have to worry about it. And you don't have to find a veterinarian that specifically deals with your insurance company, which is nice. And you don't have to worry about quotes in advance, which is also nice. So it's kind of a give and take, but I think works better for the pet care system because you can do whatever you want and get whatever care you want without dealing with the insurance company ahead of time. So that's our last question. I will just follow up by saying that I believe that pet insurance is fantastic and that unless you have a large amount of disposable income able to treat your pets if any sort of emergency arises, I highly, highly recommend that you get pet insurance for your pets, especially if they're younger. If they're older, it's going to be cost prohibitive to get them started. But if they are younger, if you are newly adopting, especially because this video is being released shortly thereafter Christmas. So if anybody got Christmas puppies or anything, I highly recommend that you get insurance. It's fantastic if your pet ends up with an injury or an illness that was just unexpected and you just don't have the means to pay for it otherwise. And it's great to not have to worry about the cost of things before making a decision about the medical care for your pets. So send me again any questions. Maybe we'll do another follow-up video for this. And thanks for joining me. Definitely subscribe, follow us wherever you are watching. We really appreciate it. We do new videos every week and we try to do interesting things. So if you have any specific questions or anything, let me know. We are here to answer them. So have a wonderful day, everyone. Say hello to your pets from us.